Good afternoon, everybody.
Very good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon,
sir.
sir.
Good
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I heard that all arts, commerce, science faculties are there in this session. Therefore, I have selected very simple topic. So importance of chemistry in day-to-day life. It's a simple topic, general topic. So as we know, everybody knows that chemistry is the branch of science which deals with the study of substances, especially and study the structures and properties. It also deals with the identification of substances of matters. We know that each and everything on the global or planet are made up by chemicals. You take any materials are made up by chemicals. So therefore, we have to know the importance of chemicals in day-to-day life. I hope you have wondered the role of chemistry in every event. Chemistry is not only limited to bakers' laboratories, it is also present in everyday day-to-day life. So our day starts with the toothpaste. So initially the toothpaste used from the ancient Egypt by making powder of rock with the vinegar. And in addition to that, the composition of the toothpaste is neem extract. The main composition is calcium carbonate, glycerin, and sodium saccharin as a sweetener, titanium dioxide, menthol, water, etc. So the main composition is calcium carbonate and glycerin. And the main working ingredient in toothpaste is fluoride. So which develops a protection against the plaque, and it strengthens the enamel to protect the teeth from the future decay. And most toothpaste contains the abrasive ingredients that helps scrub away stains and plaque on your teeth. This ingredient also helps to polish your teeth so they look fresh and clean after you brush. So next is chemistry of coffee. So the main coffee or tea, composition of the coffee or tea is carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, water. In addition to that, 2 to 3% of caffeine and tannins 3 to 5% and other chemical components. And this caffeine is a small molecule alkaloid present in the tea and coffee. The main biological properties or application of this caffeine is it stimulates the nervous system. And these benefits can be included. It increases the alertness, energy, and the concentration. And this coffee or caffeine, one of the most popular drug used in the world. The three important drugs used in the three important chemicals most widely used in the drug you all know. One is caffeine, another one is nicotine, another one is ethanol. And this coffee or caffeine is consumed by more than 90% of the people throughout the world. And the chemical present in the coffee, that is caffeine, the main chemical that is neurotransmitter, that the name is called 1,3,7-trimethylxanthine. And in addition to that, several chemicals are present in the coffee. This is caffeine is a stimulant of the stimulates the central nervous system that increases the heart rate, allows some muscles to contract more easily, and this keeps us awake because of the presence of adenosine in your brain. It binds to certain receptors and slows the nerve cell activity when sleep is signaled. It is all about the chemical interactions. And from USFDA, around 2 to 3 cups of coffee is suggested. And more than 2 to 3 cups of coffee, it is addictive in nature. And if you consume the excess of coffee, caffeine, its side effects also causes. So one more is green tea, that chemistry of the green tea. So the green tea may be defined as a type of tea that is not oxidized or immediately steamed or fan fried to prevent the oxidation and rolled and dried. So the common chemical composition of the green tea are vitamin E, beta carotene, caffeine, fiber, chlorophyll, vitamin C, polyphenolic compounds, flavonoids, and catechins. So these catechins, most of the catechins are polyphenolic compounds. So these polyphenolic compounds, you take any polyphenolic compounds or acts as antioxidants. You know, our body generates free radicals. So if the free radicals are generated in our body, these are very reactive species which reacts with the residues of DNA and RNA and amino acids, forms DNA adduct, which is responsible for the formation of cancers. So that's why always doctors suggest us to take the antioxidants. So one of the best antioxidant is green tea and fruits and fresh vegetables. One of the best fruit is pomegranate because it contains polyphenolic compounds and ellagic acids. So phenols are known as antioxidants, which inhibits the in situ generation of free radicals, so which causes the DNA damage and which finally leads to the cancer. Even Linus Pauling, he was a firm believer about the antioxidant. He was believed that this free radicals generates the causes the cancer. That's why he used to take the citric acids to prevent the cancer. Finally, he also died by the cancer only. He was the 2 times Nobel Prize winner. He got Nobel Prize in chemistry as well as in peace. And another good elements for the antioxidants are citrus fruits. So citrus fruits are excellent antioxidants. Always doctors suggest to inhibit the in situ generated free radicals. So these are the composition of green tea. Green tea not only containing the caffeine, it also contains the other vitamins 1%, pigments, chlorophyll pigments 1%, carbohydrate 5 to 7%, amino acids 1 to 4%, alkalides 3 to 4%. And in addition to this, minerals also, it contains minerals like magnesium, iron, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, and lipids 2 to 6%. How this green tea inhibits the in situ generated free radicals. So this is the probable mechanism how this green tea containing chemicals which inhibits the free radicals. So in addition to this, the following chemicals of food in everyday life. The following chemicals are widely used in food materials as coloring agent, artificial preservatives, flow stabilizers, binding substances, artificial sweetness, antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins. So in food industry, we have been eating foods daily. Most of us are not thinking about what our food are made from. Yes, more than 90% of the food are made up from the chemicals, and chemicals plays a very important role. Also, we use chemicals to maintain food items fresh till reaches the hands of the consumer. So chemicals are the fundamental components of the everything like carbohydrates, vitamins, lipids, proteins, and fiber, which are all safe and often desirable. So coloring agents, some of the dyes, natural dyes or synthetic dyes are used to give color to foodstuffs. However, this must not be harmful. For example, natural edible colors are turmeric, carotene, saffron, caramel, and annatto, etc. And food additives are also used to protect the food. So chemicals have an important part in the manufacturing and the preservation of food. Food preservation chemicals have tremendously aided in the preservation of food for longer duration. And cans of food, additives, flavorings, and nutritional supplements can all contribute to improving the quality and quantity of the meals. So what is a color additive? A color additive is any dye, pigment, or substance that can impart the color alone or through the reaction with the other substances when add or applied to a food, drug, or cosmetic to the human body. So generally these color additives are used to attract the food materials. So these are the listed permitted natural coloring agents. So one is beta carotene, beta apoate carotenol, methyl ester of beta apoate or carotenic acid, ethyl ester of beta carotenic acids, canthoxin, chlorophyll, riboflavin, caramel, annatto, saffron, curcumin. So these are the list of permitted natural coloring agents permitted in India and even in abroad also. So these are the list of hazardous coloring agents. Commercial name is E24, food coloring agents. These are the side effects. So if you consume the coloring agents with the food, these are the additional food effects. People with asthma and arthritis symptoms, this worsen if you take this, if you consume these coloring agents. And another coloring agents are E10. And if you had this food coloring agent, animal studies indicates the growth of retardation and severe weight loss. Tetrazone is one more coloring agent, food coloring agent. It leads to the allergic reactions and asthmatic attacks. Implications in boards of hyperactivity disorder in children, asthma, and etc. So color additives are used or added to the foods for imparting colors to give the natural look to attract the consumers. Though synthetic colorants have more advantages, have side effects as they may affect the health. So their controlled use benefits, sticking to the natural colors is more healthful. In addition to this, other coloring agents, namely Allura Red 129 commercial names. This Allura Red is used in soaps and snacks. The side effect is asthma. Amarnath Brilliant Blank. Its commercial name is 123-151. This coloring agent is used in wine, fish roll snacks, cheese. Again, side effect is asthma.
In gobi and kebab, color which color we used to add?
Brilliant black and it's brilliant black.
Excuse, brilliant black. Okay.
Yes. And
That code is
erythrocyte. Brilliant black 151.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Erythrokine 127 and leads to the thyroid allergies. Side effects of coloring agents. The United States Food and Drug Administration FDA permitted 9 artificial coloring agents in foods, drugs, and cosmetics. And the European Union approved 5 artificial colors, namely E104, 122, 124, 131, and 142. These are the commercial names for food. However, these synthetic coloring materials raise various health hazards. See, the toxic effects of these coloring food additives on the brain, liver, kidney, lungs, urinary bladder, and thyroid. See, in this case, I would like to tell you something based on my experience. During the drug discovery, during the discovery of the drug, small molecules or drug molecules, thorough biological studies, side effects are studied more than 5 years, 10 years using animals and including patients. But these coloring agents are not properly studied. If side effects of coloring agents are not properly studied like drug molecules. So therefore, being a chemist, I always suggest to not to use the coloring agents for any food materials. Naturally occurring coloring materials are better compared to the synthetic one. Even though US FDA are approved, European patent is approved, natural products are always better than the synthetic one. Natural like turmeric, saffron, and beta carotene, so that natural colors can be used and better. So chemistry in food preservatives. So in order to protect the food, so these food preservatives are used to protect the food from the infection, bacteria, yeast, and other fungal infections. So if you read the ingredients on the bottle of ketchup, jams, pickles, we see the list of chemicals. These are called food preservatives, which delay in the growth of microorganisms in food. And these food preservatives not only prohibit the growth of bacteria, virus, fungi, but also hinder the oxidation of fats. So which is the responsible for making the foods rancid? The most chemical food preservatives are most commonly used preservatives are sodium benzoate, sorbic acid, potassium sorbate, calcium, and sodium sorbate propionic acids. So these are the flavoring agents, the namely 3-methyl-4-hydroxybenzaldehyde. Another two are butylated hydroxytoluene. These are the structures BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene, and butylated hydroxyanisole. You can see the structures, chemical structure of the BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, and sulfur dioxide is used as an accident in the wine and beers. And both BHT and BHA check the aging of food materials. So these two can be used to check the aging of food materials. And why this butylated hydroxytoluenes and BHA are used? So these, if the free radicals are generated, and these bulky groups stabilizes the free radicals. So next is artificial preservatives. They prevent the spoilage of these artificial preservatives, prevent the spoilage of food by stopping the growth of microorganisms. For example, sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfate. Artificial sweetness, they do not impart any calories to the body since these substances are excreted through the urine. For example, aspartame, it is used in cool drinks and ice creams. It is a sweetener, and olitame, it is 2000 times sweetener than the sucrose.
Sir, these artificial sweeteners or preservatives also have the adverse health effect, right, no, sir?
Definitely. These are sweeteners. I am telling the sweeteners like saccharin or aspartame or sucrose. Definitely, these are side effects are there because these sweeteners, they do not have any calorific value. See, instead of using 100 gram of sucrose, normal table sugar, even 1 gram of saccharin is sufficient to get the same sweet, but there is a no calorific value in the preparation of juices, normal Coca-Cola, Pepsi. The people, they have been using saccharin, artificial sweeteners, to cut the cost and for making more benefit, but for making more profit. But the point is, there is a no calorific value, but side effects are there. As I told you, see, generally drug molecules are thoroughly studied. In order to get the one drug molecule, at least it required more than 10 years. Complete biological studies, thorough studies have conducted. But these artificial sugars or preservatives or coloring agents are not properly studied. So therefore, it is always, my suggestion is always better to avoid the artificial sweetness. Even there are several side effects are there for the saccharin, aspartame, and almost all artificial sweeteners.
Sir,
So,
if it is only for business purpose, means the FDA only could ban all these things, no?
yes, the FDA is approved only minimum some PPT level. Minimum is allowed. But in India, what happens? The excess of these sugars are using. Minimum is allowed. And these are the artificial, you can see the structures of artificial sweeteners. This is saccharin, acesulfame, advantame, aspartame. These are peptides. Peptides are made up by amino acids. And this is sucralose. This is carbohydrates. And these are also known as sugar substituents, alternative sweeteners, non-sugar sweeteners. They are low-calorie synthetic substituents, but may be derived from the naturally occurring substances, including herbs or sugar itself. So these are ingredients added to the yogurt, foods, medicinal preparations, candy, jams, soft drinks, beverages to provide sweetness without adding any calorie. So these are the examples. See, if we use these artificial sweeteners, the cost is less instead of using the table sugar. So therefore, companies are selecting these artificial sweeteners instead of the table sugars. So these are the commercial names of the artificial sweeteners. One is aspartame, saccharin, monk fruit extract, sucralose, cyclamate, stevia. Sucrose and fructose are natural sweeteners, table sugars. And saccharin, sodium calcium salt of saccharin, and it is used most as common artificial sweetener. This saccharin is 600 times more sweetener than the sucrose. Say instead of using 600 gram, if you use the 1 gram of saccharin is sufficient to make the sweets. And it is known to be biodegradable. So another artificial sweeteners, so cyclamat and sucralose, aspartame. In the previous slides, I had showed the structures also. So these are no calorific value, but do not cause the tooth decay. But I'm repeating, the side effects of these artificial sweeteners are not thoroughly studied. So therefore, it is better to avoid. See, if minimum quantity is there, it is minimum ppm level or according to the quantities there, according to the US FDA guidelines, then it is acceptable. But if the quantity is crossed across the FDA suggestions, then it is always dangerous. So one more chemistry related to the why do we onions make us cry? So onion contains amino acid sulfoxides that are converted into this is the sulfenic acid. Have you we ever thought why onions makes us cry? So there is a chemistry behind it inside the onion cells. So there are some chemical compounds that contain sulfur. When we cut an onion, its cells are broken and those chemical compounds undergo a reaction that transfers them into a more volatile sulfurated product. So therefore, saturated compounds react with the moisture in our eyes, forming a sulfonic acids. Generally, the sulfonic acids are bad smell chemicals, and this sulfonic acid is volatile and it leads to the crying. Sulfonic acid is responsible for the volatile gas propanethiol sulfoxide that stimulates the production of the tears in the eyes. This is simple chemistry. Why when you rupture or cut the onions, the chemical present in the chemical, it ruptures and reacts with the moisture, it generates the sulfonic acids. So this sulfonic acid is responsible for the stimulating the tears in our eyes when we expose to the onion cutting. So chemistry of alcoholic drinks. So there are several types of alcohols, beer, wine, spirit. So all these alcohol drinks containing ethanol. So CH3, CH2OH, this ethanol is common in all spirit or alcoholic contents. So this alcohol stimulates the nervous system and it also generates the dopamine in the brain chemical. So in the brain, it stimulates the nervous system and it generates the dopamine. We feel happy. And alcohol's direct action on the brain is, it is a depressant. It decreases the activity of the nervous system, and alcohol inhibits cells and circuits in the brain, which themselves are normally inhibitory. And once you consume the alcohol, 90% of the alcohol is completely oxidized into the acetic acid in the liver, usually with the help of enzyme. And the alcohol is not metabolized. It is another 10% of the alcohol is excreted from the urine or sweat or through the skin. And this metabolism pathways of the ethyl alcohol in the body involve the liver and in particular the oxidation of ethyl alcohol by alcohol dehydrogenase. So this alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme which oxidizes the ethanol into the formaldehyde oxidations, then further oxidation takes place to the acetic acids and decomposes to give carboxylic acids, and it stimulates the nervous system. And this is one of the most widely used most widely used chemical in the world. So in addition to that, so why we have to be careful about the locally made alcohols? Because locally made alcohols, so without proper guidance, if you prepare the alcohol, that alcohol may be containing the another alcohol called methanol. So this methanol is CH3OH, highly poisonous. So therefore, we have to be careful about the local made or homemade alcohols, because so in companies there are several techniques are there to determine the percentage of alcohol, ethanol and methanol. But in normally locally made people, they don't have facilities to detect the percentage of methanol and ethanol. So therefore, my suggestion, those who are taking alcohol, it is better to avoid the local made alcohols, because local spirits, including local rice, are made up by the rice or palm liquid. Always avoid the homemade alcoholic drinks, because methanol is not properly identified, the amount of methanol. And you also check the bottle seals. If it is local, should be avoided. Check the labels for the poor print quality or incorrect spelling, and seek the urgent medical attention if you are or someone you are traveling with so signs of the methanol poisoning. And illicit liquor or hooch containing small percentage of methanol, so therefore should be avoided. So methanol can causes blindness and induce the comas, and it is deadly in high doses. If you consume more than 10 ml of methanol, it leads to the poison and leads to the death also. Methanol is very dangerous. And what is the biochemistry of methanol? What happens if you consume methanol? See, if ethanol is consumed, enzymatic, because of the alcohol dehydrogenation, ethanol is oxidized to the acetaldehyde. Further oxidation takes place to give acetic acid, and decarboxylation in the enzymatic decarboxylation leads to the energy and carbon dioxide. But in case of methanol, what happens? Methanol metabolism creates toxic byproducts called formaldehyde and formic acids. So this formaldehyde and formic acids are very toxic in nature. Enzymatic oxidation of formaldehyde leads to the methanol leads to the formaldehyde and formic acids. So these two compounds, formaldehyde and formic acids, are highly toxic in nature. So therefore, when you are taking alcohol, one should be very careful. And this build up attacking, and this leads to if the methanol content is present in the body, it attacks the nervous systems or also attacks the organs, which can lead to the blindness, coma, and finally death. This leads to certain parts of the brain being damaged. So therefore, the eyes are also directly affected, and this can cause the blindness, which is found in many people exposed to the high levels of methanol. And one more chemical is nicotine. So the nicotine is commonly present in tobacco leaves. So this chemical, tobacco leaves, not only containing the nicotine, it also containing hundreds of chemicals, and majority of the chemicals are carcinogenic in nature. So these chemicals and this nicotine chemical is a member of the alkaloid family of compounds. When one smokes nicotine, it is absorbed through the skin, mucosal lining of the mouth and nose, and by inhalation of the lungs. How this nicotine and other chemicals enters into the body? It enters into the body through the skin, mucosal lining of the mouth, and the nose, and inhalation of the lungs. In the brain, nicotine, it is a neurotransmitter. So neurotransmitter means it generates the neurochemicals like serotonin and dopamines. See, when serotonin and dopamine neurotransmitter generates in the brain, so we feel happy initially. That's why many people are addicted to the nicotine and ethanol. All these chemicals, nicotine, ethanol, and caffeine also generates the neurotransmitter in the brain. And when the neurotransmitter like dopamine is generated in the brain, we feel temporary, we feel happy. Some pleasure we get, plus some pleasure. So therefore, many people are addicted to this tobacco or nicotine. And smokers don't think about the chemicals present in these cigarettes, but they know about the how chemical present in the cigarettes. There are almost 1,000 different compounds are present in the cigarettes like nicotine. Nicotine is obvious chemical compound. Cigarettes contain on average around 10 milligram of nicotine. So each cigarette. So nicotine is highly toxic to humans in high doses, much higher than those obtained from the smoking cigarettes. So chemistry of the digestions, how chemistry plays a important role in the digestion. So after putting food in our mouth, different chemical reactions start in our digestive system, saliva, and generally we take the food like starch. So starch, the enzyme present in the body like amylase, metabolism takes place to give maltose. This maltose is oligosaccharides, 2 to 6 number of uh, glucose units. And further, this maltose is undergo enzymatic reactions with the maltase to generate the glucose. So if the food containing the protein, so the protease enzyme metabolize and it reacts with the proteins. This protease enzymes metabolizes and converts the protein into the amino acids. So if the food containing the lipids, the lipase enzyme is present in our body. So the lipase enzyme converts lipids into the fatty acids and glycerol. So after putting food in our mouth, different chemical reactions start in our digestive system. The enzyme amylase, which is responsible for breaking down carbohydrates. The stomach starts producing the hydrochloric acid. The liver releases bile and the list of compounds released during the digestion goes on. Then how do they work? All these enzymes undergo chemical reactions so that proper digestion as well as assimilation of the food occurs. So the working of a sunscreen. So why we use sunscreens when we expose to the sunlight? So before going out on a sunny day, we use sunscreen. Behind the working of a sunscreen, as a chemistry background, the sunscreen uses combination of organic and inorganic compounds to act as a filter for incoming ultraviolets. So the UV sunlight in sometimes some reason because of depletion of the ozone layer, UV layer concentration is high. So UV layer penetrates our body once the UV layer is carcinogenic in nature. So UV layers damages our DNA and proteins present in our body. So damages and continuous exposure of the DNA leads to the cancer also. So in order to control the UV rays, many people uses sunscreens. So the sunscreens are made up by organic compounds in the combination of the zinc oxide and titanium oxides. So this zinc oxide and titanium oxides, which prevents the UV rays to invade the deeper into the skin. So these titanium oxides and zinc oxides controls the enter into the UV rays into our body and then protecting the UV rays which reacts with the DNA and RNA and proteins of our molecules, our body. So thereby it controls the causing cancer also. So chemistry in cosmetics. So importance of chemistry in cosmetics. So in our daily lives, we use lotions, fragrance, powder, variety of other cosmetics goods. All these items are developed in laboratories using the chemicals for our health and skin. All cosmetic items from the babies to adults are made up from the chemical compounds. So as a result, chemistry is important in maintaining the pH of our skin, keeping it healthy and removing the marks. So most of the cosmetics are made up by hydroxy acids. Or these cosmetics are care substances designed to cleanse, protect, and change the external appearance of our bodies. They are generally mixtures of chemical compounds, some being derived from the natural sources and some being synthetic. So these are the common chemical components used in the cosmetics. So emulsifier is used to increase the stability of emulsions. The most commonly used emulsifier is potassium cetyl sulfate and preservatives. So benzyl alcohol and salicylic acids are used as preservatives in cosmetics. And thickeners, this give appealing consistency. The most commonly used thickeners are acetyl alcohol, stearic acid, and emollient also used in the cosmetics. These are glycerin and zinc oxide to protect the UV rays from the sun. Glimmer and signers, so to give the good color to our body, and the most commonly used chemicals for glimmer and signers called mica, bismuth, oxychlorides. So these are the chemicals used in the cosmetics productions. So next, not only chemistry is not only there in cosmetics, dyes, drugs, it is also there in our emotions also. So whenever we are feeling happy, sad, relaxed, stressed, there are many chemical reactions takes place in our body, and due to the chemical messengers called neurotransmitters released in the brain, maybe when you hug your favorite one, when you are jealous, when you are hungry, different chemical reaction takes place in our body. So these are the chemicals. The first chemical is dopamine. This is the structure of dopamine, simple ethylamino-phenol derivative. So this dopamine is a neurotransmitter produced by the hypothalamus of the brain. So it also called as reward or pleasure chemical. The brain releases it every time we set up a goal and achieve it. So every time you set a goal and achieve it, our brain releases a neurotransmitter called dopamine. So when you eat your favorite food, then also our brain releases the dopamine. When you are exercising, shopping in supermarkets, listening to the favorite music, browsing on the phone. So all this scrolling on the phone also generates the chemical called dopamine, one of the chemical. So healthy amounts of dopamine add to our energy levels. So once the dopamine level is good in the brain, we feel good and feel energetic and happiness. So then it is easy to perform our work, our activity. We then seek the dopamine it more often, and our brain loves this dopamine chemical very well. That's how we can form an addiction to the alcohol, shopping, traveling, social media, drugs, or even work. See, all this alcohol shopping, traveling, social media, all this generates the small amount of dopamine in the brain. We feel happy. See, another chemical called serotonin, it's a happy chemicals. So 4 important happy chemicals are dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin. So serotonin also a happy chemical. So it regulates our mood. It enhances our mood. If the level of the serotonin in our brain is good, we feel happy. So the imbalance of this chemical in our brain or body, which leads to the depression, suppression. So sense of optimism and quality of sleep, which if the serotonin level is good, our sleep is also good. Low levels of serotonin are associated with anxiety and depressions. So interestingly, while the other 3 hormones are produced by the brain, most of the serotonin is produced in the gut. So healthy and balanced diet, walking in nature, sunshine, massage and meditation. So these activities generates the serotonin in our body. Another factor that affects the serotonin levels in our sense of our social standing. So one more chemical, happy chemical is oxytocin. So it is a peptide molecule. Oxytocin is a hormone produced by the hypothalamus and released by the pituitary gland, and that produces the feelings of love and connection. Also known as the cuddle hormone, the brain may produce oxytocin during the sex or maternal behavior such as childbirth or breastfeeding. See, this oxytocin is the love chemical. It gives the feeling of safety and belonging and enhances the trust and empathy. See, this chemical generates in the body when you hug your favorite, your relatives, your children's or your parents. So oxytocin is an important contributor to the long-term happiness. It increases with love, touch, holding hands, hugging intimacy, letting people in our life, trusting others as well as with the being loving as pets and animals. It also enhanced when we are kind to others. So one more chemical is endorphin. It is also a happy chemical. It is also called as endorphins. And it is also called as painkiller. It's a natural painkiller. And when this endorphin is generated, when you exercise, this lowers our body and active movement of our body, laughter, heart, music, dark eating dark chocolate during meditation, and these endorphins are generated. In addition to that, when you complete your activity, any assigned activity, endorphins are generated. You feel happy. So the low levels of this hormone can also lead to the anxiety, body aches, and sleep issues. This is merely an introduction to the chemical play in our brain. Loving personal relationships, loving a pet, meditation also generates the endorphins. Setting and achieving goals, including learning something new, pursuing interest like music, art, and most important, laughing more and not taking ourselves too seriously. So, which is the same reaction that occurs chemically when taking prescription opioids by taking drug molecules. So, a little bit more information about the dopamine. So this dopamine is a chemical in your brain which makes feel good when it is released. It gives you a small rewards again and again. See, one notification, dopamine release boost. one new like dopamine boost, and one new comment dopamine boost. Every time you scroll, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine. And just like this drug addict, we need more drugs to feel good. You need more scrolling and more likes and more videos. So why we addicted to the dopamine? Our brain loves dopamine and happy chemicals. So because of these activities our brain releases and our brain feel happy. So according to the research, social media is designed to be as addictive as gambling. You don't know what coming next and excitement keeps you hooked. This is why you cannot stop scrolling. Think about why we are not addicted to the study. Think about why we are not addicted to the exercise and why we are not addicted to the meditations. Because study, exercise, meditation, so these gives slow release of dopamine into our brain. But scrolling and one notification and new novelties, checking news, and these gives instant dopamine. See, this social media gives instant pleasure, instant fun, instant dopamine. So therefore this is the reason good habits are difficult to form and bad habits are easy to form. And our social media is tricks our brains to choosing temporary pleasure over long-term success. It is not your fault. Many genius people are like software engineers, psychologists, data scientists, work every day to make sure you stay addicted. So think about if you watch one video, algorithm recommends immediately similar video. So when you like one post, algorithm recommends similar like videos or post. So these apps are designed to control our attention. It is their profit and our loss. Our energy is wasted, our time is gone. And the big question is, how do you escape from this? And totally this social media is a trap, and social media is because of these brain chemicals called dopamine, serotonin, and endorphin and oxytocin. So one more topic is importance of chemistry in medicine. So chemistry has made significant contributions to the healthcare. So chemical substances used for the treatment of disease and to reduce the suffering of the pain are called medicines or drugs. A medicine is a chemical substance that cures the disease and is not only safe to use, but also not cause any addiction or much toxicity, while drug cures disease and may cause side effects and creates addiction, etc. So penicillin is a medicine while heroin is a drug. So types of chemical messengers, hormones and neurotransmitters. They are a group of biomolecules which are generated in the ductless endocrine glands. These enter the bloodstream and travel to different parts of the body, activating all the receptors which recognize them for message transfer. They are all not deactivated very quickly. Adrenaline is an example of a hormone. It is released from adrenal medulla in situations of stress or danger. It prepares the body for physical exercise to bear the stress. And neurotransmitter, already I told you about the neurotransmitters. And this, in addition to this, another neurotransmitters, these neurotransmitters, nerves transfer message through the neurotransmitters. These are all small molecules such as acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin. These bind to the receptor for very short time to transfer message to it, and after transferring the message, departed unchanged quickly. Then the message inside the cell is forwarded by receptor. So after leaving the active site of receptor, neurotransmitters undergo degradation and lose their capability to transfer message. In other words, unlike hormones, they are quickly deactivated. The degradation products of neurotransmitters go back to nerve endings to form the active messenger again, and thus the cycle of message transfers can be repeated again. So chemotherapy, it is the branch of science in which the chemicals are used for the treatment of disease. So for example, analgesic relieve the pain or used to treat the variety of ailments. Antacids, these are the compounds that are used to eliminate excess of acids from the stomach and increase the pH to a healthy level. Antipyretics reduce the body temperature. Anti-inflammatories control the inflammation, and antibiotics that kill the bacteria and other microorganisms. So generally, chemotherapy word is used as a type of treatment for cancer that uses one or more than one anti-cancer drug as part of the standardized chemotherapy. So these antipyretics are used to bring down the body temperature in case of high fever. For example, aspirin, these are the structures of aspirin and paracetamol, simple chemical molecules. And these are used to decrease the body temperature. So it is common antipyretic and is chemically known as acetyl salicylic acid. So aspirin is known as acetyl salicylic acid, and it may ulcerate the stomach and wall, cause bleeding by producing salicylic acids when taken empty stomach. And sodium calcium salt of aspirins are more soluble and are less harmful. So this aspirin helps to make the blood thinner and thus prevents the formation of blood clots in the coronary arteries, thereby preventing the heart attacks. Analgesic, these are drugs used to relieving pain. Some narcotics which produce sleep and unconsciousness can also be used as analgesic. For example, morphine, marijuana, codeine, heroin, these are known to be habit forming, so must be used only in severe pain. So these are addictive in nature. So therefore, this morphine or codeine or marijuana should be taken with the suggestion of the doctors only. So antibiotics, they are chemical substances produced by microorganisms, fungi, bacteria that can be inhibit the growth or even destroy the other microorganisms. So broad spectrum antibiotics are medicines effective against the several different types of harmful microorganisms like tetracycline, chlorophenisol, narrow spectrum antibiotics which are effective mainly against gram-positive or gram-negative bacteria, whereas the antibiotics which are effective only against the single organism or disease are called limited spectrum antibiotics. So penicillin has a narrow spectrum. Ampicillin and amoxicillin are derivatives of penicillin. So penicillin and cephalosporin are beta-lactam derivatives. Antibiotics kill bacteria, effectively fighting bacterial infections only. They do not work against the viruses or viral infections and can actually cause more harm than good. So these are the antacids. These are used to remove the acidity in stomach. For example, magnesium hydroxide magnesium carbonate, aluminum hydroxide. These are the bases. Bases are used to neutralize the acid generated in the body. And another small molecules, drug molecules, are omeprazole or lansoprazole are also used as antacids. So these metal hydroxides and omeprazole and lansoprazoles increases the pH up to 7. So these are the structures of the drug molecules. Ranitidines, the most commonly used antacids. The structure of omeprazole, lansoprazole. So these are small molecules. So these molecules, these antacids, not only neutralizes HCl's but also prevents its formation to give relief from the hyperacidity. So not only neutralizes the HC acid, it also prevents the formation to give the relief from the hyperacidity. So these are the narcotic drug molecules. The morphine is used as a painkiller. And the small modification of the morphine, one only difference between codeine and heroin, one methyl group is different. In the codeine and morphine, one methyl group is different, and in heroin, instead of H, acetyl groups are present. So these are used as a painkillers, so should be taken with the help of the doctor's suggestions. And lastly, so chemistry of the vegetables. So vegetables and fruits are colored because they contain a special kind of chemical compounds, all vegetables. The wide array of bright colors that gives fruits and vegetables. Their visual appeal come from the three main types of pigments. The common pigments present in the vegetables are carotenoids, which give orange and yellow vegetables. Flavonoids, which provide the blue color and red and cream colors. And chlorophylls, which makes greens. So the color of the vegetables mainly because of the pigment present in the vegetables or fruits. Vegetables or fruits are green because of the pigment called chlorophyll. Vegetable or fruits are colored like yellow and orange because of the flavonoids. And the vegetables and fruits are brown because of the carotenoids. So this is the ninhydrin reactions. If the ninhydrin chemical reacts with our hand containing the amino acids, when it reacts with the ninhydrin, when ninhydrin is touched with our hand, this type of chemical reaction takes place to give this color. This ninhydrin reacts with alpha amino acids and produces the purple colored product called remains purple color. And our body composition, in addition to that, one thing I would like to tell in vegetables and the most commonly used Indian, we have been using curcuma longa. So curcuma longa, in curcuma longa, a common chemical is present called the curcumin. So this chemical is conjugated phenolic compounds. This is a wonderful chemical. It has antibiotic, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer activity, and thousands of papers have been published about the biological activity of the curcumin. So this molecule is a wonderful molecule. It is antioxidant, antibiotic, anti-ulcer, antiviral, and maybe this is one of the reasons our ancestors have been using in the food materials. And it's a coloring agent. But the main component is curcumin. The pure compound is isolated from the curcuma longa. This pure chemical is insoluble in water. So if you take the pure chemical compound through the food or any additives, it goes to the body and absorption level is very less. For example, curcumin powder or curcuma longa powder is taken using the milk. But our body absorbs a very important chemical present in the curcuma longa is curcumin. Our body absorbs less than 10% of this chemical compound. So, in addition to absorb more, what scientists made and found out that in addition to this, if you had black pepper powder, the black pepper powder containing the piperine, if you mix the piperine pepper powder or piperine to the curcumin, what happens? Our absorption level is extremely well. That curcumin absorption level is extremely increases more than 100 times. So therefore, if you want to get the benefit of curcumin, instead of taking curcuma longa powder, it is better to use curcuma longa powder along with the black pepper powder. It gives the medicinal property extremely well. So I would like to stop here. It's a general topic. If any one or two questions are there, I'm happy to tell you.
Hello, sir. This is Dr. Namita from Chemistry
Madam.
from Rural College, Kanakpura.
Okay, madam.
So you said there are so many vitamins and minerals are there in green tea.
Yes, madam.
Do you suggest it is good for health?
Yes, madam. Green tea is good for not only many polyphenolic compounds are there, flavonoids are there, carotenoids are there. So these are polyphenolic compounds. These acts as an antioxidants. Antioxidants means I told you that so our body releases free radicals. Especially our body releases free radicals. Okay. Free radicals. Your questions can. Okay, slides down. Our body releases, especially cold temperature, our body generates free radicals more. So that's why it is better to take some